Man, that was good stuff. Good stuff. And you know what? If you're one of those people who tries to find the bad in the good, this is the episode for you. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Steelers 20, Chargers 10 in the home opener at Acrisure Stadium. The crowd, the 67,000 plus people on hand, loved it. Had a good talk with TJ Watt about this afterward. TJ's really into the crowd stuff, you might have noticed. He's always the one trying to stir things up, and he'll make more comments about the crowd than any other athlete in Pittsburgh, all of them combined, actually. And what he said he felt in the fourth quarter was that the fans weren't hoping for the Steelers to win. They were expecting the Steelers to win. They were expecting the Steelers to score touchdowns. They were expecting the Steelers to make splash plays on defense. And that's a very different vibe than what's been there for quite some time now. And you know what? It was deserved. That team, the way they performed in that second half against that previously undefeated opponent, they earned that. Now, I'm also aware that it's a very different experience being inside a stadium surrounded by a zillion people waving towels and screaming their lungs out than it is watching it, well, anywhere else. There's only one home stadium and there's only one Pittsburgh. So my guess is that even with the Steelers at 3-0, even with Justin Fields performing the way he continues to perform at quarterback. I don't want to just cite this game because to me that's all been a buildup. Even with the broader template continuing to become more and more clear for this team that they get stronger as the game goes on, the other team gets more tired. Even with TJ and Nick Herbig and Cam Hayward, Landon Roberts and Patrick Queen and everybody on that side of the ball just making splash after splash happen. And even with Calvin Austin single-handedly, it seemed like, addressing the sorest subject of all this summer, meaning WR2, by going into a full 55-yard sprint to the game-sealing touchdown, there are going to be skeptics. There are going to be cynics. Whereas all I'm going to do is to continue to say the same things I've been saying through Atlanta and through Denver. And that is this. These Steelers know what they want to be. They know what it looks like. They know what it feels like. And now, after this game, after what they were able to do in all phases, they have every reason to believe it and to believe it outwardly and unapologetically. Here's 1 minute, and you're going to want to hear this, of me and Dan Moore talking about the way the Steelers came out to start the second half. Was this just like, this is it, this is our game?
Yeah, I think that first drive of the second half was clear, like when we came out and had that 13-play drive, I think we all felt we're going to win this damn game. Obviously, the defense feeding off of that, it definitely felt like we were playing team football.
This is the damn breakings that Justin talked about to us in Denver.
Yeah, definitely. The damn breaking, we felt it, especially late in that game. We start popping big runs. That felt good. Obviously, they got their hands on their hips. They're tired. We're tired, but we're looking at them, and we know that they're more tired than us, and that gives us a little bit more energy to keep pushing. And that's an offensive line's dream. You keep pounding the rock on guys, especially late in the game, to close out a game like that and not have to let your defense get on the field again. I think we play real good team football.
That's pretty good stuff, right? Now, here's a funny side note. As Moore was talking to me and he was relaying that stuff about how the Chargers had their hands on the hips and they were looking tired, Mason McCormick, who'd just been stripping some tape off of his ankles at the next stall, stops for a second, looks up at me, and starts nodding emphatically as if to say, oh yeah, we had them back. We had them back. And that's the kind of reaction that I was getting from around the room. And it was independent of whether it was offense or defense. The Steelers see themselves as a synergetic unit. And if that sounds like, too much of an alphabet soup term, let me put it the way Landon Roberts did when he and I spoke. Everything and everybody on defense is feeding off of each other. The guys up front are stopping the run. They eventually stopped J.K. Dobbins, although he had a few good ones early on. That, in turn, is freeing up not only the guys you would expect to rush the passer, like TJ and Herbig, but also Roberts. He came right up the middle. The Steelers hadn't done that in either of the first two games. It also freed up Patrick Queen to level Dobbins, his former teammate, in Baltimore very early, something that fired up the entire rest of the defense, they told me. Although not as much as Queen acknowledged when I brought it up, how much he enjoyed it. From there, you even saw the secondary getting involved. Joey Porter Jr. had a tackle for a loss, and he drilled the guy, then got up and stared at his own sideline as if to say, "You didn't think I could do that, did you?" Which, by the way, I confirmed with him. That was his intent there. He did not arrive from Penn State with the reputation of someone who even wanted to tackle, let alone could do it. Look, it's working. It's coming together. It's not going to be without its hiccups. It's not going to be without its injuries. Jaylen Warren told me after the game he was getting an MRI on his knee. That seemingly comes out of nowhere. That sounds scary. Alex Highsmith strained his groin. Corey Trice went down too. So none of this is going perfectly, well, except the record. And last I checked, that's where it counts the most. Especially when the team is getting legitimately better from week to week. As is the new starting quarterback, by the way. Notice I didn't even bother with that one. Not anymore. That's over. When we come back, J1Q. Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George is a personal injury law firm in Western Pennsylvania that represents injured people in automobile accidents, workers' compensation cases, and medical malpractice claims. The attorneys at Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George pride themselves in doing what they say they're going to do. It's important to them that when they make you a promise, they keep that promise. And this law firm has been keeping promises for over 80 years. Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George has been AV rated. That's the highest rating a law firm can receive for legal ability and ethics. And the lawyers at the firm have been designated super lawyers, that's a real thing, for over 15 years. Rare combination there. Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George has offices in Cranberry, Newcastle, Beaver Falls, Butler, and Elwood City. Learn more about them at lgkg.com or by calling 888-842-5454. Again, that's 888-842-5454. Today's J1Q comes from Joe, who says, DK, this is going to sound crazy, but the defense, to me, got nastier when Alex Highsmith came off the field. Nick Herbig is different, and honestly needs to be out there more, because when TJ Watt's getting doubled all game, someone needs to win that one-on-one on the other side, and Herbig was doing that. I did, Joe, and you might remember it, an episode, it was only a couple of weeks ago, suggesting that at some point or other the leash was going to get a little short with Highsmith if all anyone would see every single time Herbig comes on the field is some kind of splash, and then he ends up with these statistical lines that are like 2 sacks and 4 tackles for losses, a fumble forced and a fumble recovery, but he only played like 15 snaps. It gets to the point where you're like, listen, however bad he might be at this thing that you think he's bad at, it can't be that bad if he's doing this much damage. So Highsmith obviously wasn't removed on merit. Highsmith has the groin injury, as I mentioned in the opening segment. Now, I don't know if they showed this on TV, but when Highsmith came out of the blue tent where they treat the injuries on the field, he slammed multiple pieces of equipment to the ground and then stomped along the sidelines and then stormed off for additional treatment. Now, while he might have been disappointed or even deeply disappointed to not be able to finish this game, that to me looked like the reaction of someone who knew he'd been significantly hurt, although we'll see how that plays out. Regardless, the younger Herbig takes the field and just does what he does. He blows past people, he gets to the quarterback, and then once he gets there, unlike a certain guy in Cleveland, he gets a result, a real result. Kind of the way TJ was. And the two of them together were just too much. Are you aware, by the way, that the yardage totals in the second half of this game were Pittsburgh 243, Los Angeles -5? Did you know the Chargers actually went backward by 5 yards in the second half? Well, with all due respect to everybody else who played well on that side of the ball, I mean, a lot of that happened because of TJ and Herbig. And there's no city anywhere that would have a greater familiarity with the kind of disruption a defense can bring just by having two players like that, whether one of them is one-dimensional or not. I understand that the sport has changed, but I'm going to go back in time here a little bit and reference when those bookend guys were Greg Lloyd and Kevin Green. And I don't mean to say this to be disrespectful of the recently past, but Lloyd was the way better player of the two. Lloyd is the principal reason that Green got into the Hall of Fame, even though Lloyd didn't. Lloyd raised so much mayhem on his side that Green was just free to shoot through. Now, again, things are different now. Your OLBs are asked to drop into coverage. TJ will do it occasionally. Your OLBs in the Pittsburgh system are always tasked with sealing the edge on the run. But there does come a point where you have to say, hey, what are we valuing more here? Are we valuing the splash, the potential takeaways, the lost yardage, or, simply stopping a running back from running to one side or the other? I know this much. Herbig's going to have an opportunity here. Herbig was going to have an opportunity regardless, although it was going to be an unusual one in that they had created, Terrell Austin and Mike Tomlin had some 3 OLB alignments where Herbig could either rush up the middle or someone else would stunt into the middle. But this is different. He was out there a ton in this game. And, nothing bad happened, right? I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. We're going to do another one of these tomorrow.